Hi everybody, so this is my first sit down book club read. The book that I'm doing is Population 1 by Tyler McNamer. I picked it because it's written by an autistic young man, and when my son was 3 years old, he's 5 now, we found out he has autism. So I kind of wanted to see, his views and outlook on growing up with autism. And of course, as a parent, you always worry what their future is going to be like with any of your children. But when they have delayments or, disabilities or behind what milestones that most kids are supposed to reach, you worry about their future. So it was really good read to get to see his outlook and what all he accomplished. So I'm going to read the little bit of about him that's in the back. It says, in his 18 years, Tyler Allen McNamer has been faced with many challenges, included being diagnosed as autistic. He always knew he was different from the other kids in school, different in how he saw the universe. Regardless, Tyler has embraced his differences and overcome his challenges. Tyler's unique vision and leadership have made an impact on hundreds of kids and teachers from elementary to high school. He may be a little strange and different, but his intelligent desire to help people and his goal to write a book at such a young age have made him rise to the top. Tyler's dream is to be a hero. At an early age, he said, the best kind of freedom is the freedom to do good. It is what makes heroes. I love that quote by him. Tyler believes that anyone can be a hero or heroine when that person has the freedom to do good. He wrote this book to show what he meant. So in his book, he talks a lot about how, to him, he always brings it back about how he correlates it with the universe. How worlds are people, galaxy is planet Earth, universe equals the galaxy, and then what he sees as the universe. So he talks a lot about how he sees interactions with each other and how planets collide or the universe comes together. But it's a really unique vision of how he sees the people around him. So I really like that. He said he called it my book's title Population 1. 1 is a very different from the titles of other books, as it should be. The very first chapter you're reading will tell you why I chose the title in the first place. I resemble everyone because, like you, I am a world within myself. So he talks about a lot about worlds and universes, and so I really like to see the different ways he views everything around him, and how why we might not see as, people of different worlds or stuff like that. He shows why he thinks it like that. So it really is an interesting read. And also how he feels in his world. He said, for a long time I felt that my world affects other worlds in a negative way, and that's why my world was far away from the galaxy. It felt like that at first until I looked even closer at space. There may be one person in a world, but even that person, male or female, can affect the galaxy and the universe in a way that's positive. There are people who are taller or smaller than you. Then there are people who have a lower IQ. So he talks about how the universes and the world, which are people and stuff, are all different, and how they're important in the make of the galaxy. So it really is interesting. He's from the Seattle area, and he talks about how sometimes he got to him from school in an airplane, and part of it talks about how he was able to fly one of the small planes, and he grew up with his parents being separated. So that was also an interesting thing to read about, because I grew up with diverse parents, and you always wonder, what people on the outside view it as, or, what other people go through as, being raised with divorced parents. And it's also interesting to see, because most people are raised not raised, are told like autism people don't feel the same as most people don't feel it the same, their emotions are, a lot different. But he talks a lot about his parents and how, each of them plays a part in his abilities and his personality, and, how he was able to go through where he kind of feels how he feels on marriage and relationships. And further on the book, he does talk about how he was worried about hurting people because he saw his parents be hurt in the divorce, so he wasn't close to people. I was always told my son might not be close to people emotionally because they don't attach themselves, because it shows that it's not just always the autism, it's how they view the world and what happened around them to make them think like that. So it's just like everybody else, something triggers it to excuse me. Sorry, my phone didn't pause when a phone call came through. But yeah, so it's interesting to see how he handles things that you've also gone through in life, even though some of the misconceptions of how autistic people are said to handle things. So I like reading about that, and also reading through it got me to realize how much some people don't know about autistic people, and the different levels of how it affects them. So I think we need more education out there. We're taught diversity in, languages, cultures, like that, but also we need to learn in, different learning abilities and disabilities, and, so kids aren't like afraid to ask questions and know that they're also children and going through the same things, they're just able to deal with it differently. So I like to see how he talks about how he handles school and his peers, and talks about a couple times that he was in a fight and stuff because of misunderstanding, and that he really doesn't like it. He'd rather just walk away and, not give the person the power. He'd rather just, keep going and not feel the feeling of anger. So, and then how he deals with people wanting to play with him and not play with him through his different years in life. Where he didn't really notice it when he was little because, everybody just played with everybody. He didn't really notice it until he got into higher grades of school, the different kids who hung out with each other. And so, but he was always happy to be in school and join groups and be a part of something. So it was interesting to see how he got himself involved in school, even though he was different. Well, according to them, different. So I really like that. And I took a bunch of notes because some of them are personal that my son went through. So I wanted to be able to read back and say, oh yeah, this, this happened to my son, happening to my son one now, and what it might look like when he gets older and have to deal with it. So, I apologize. I'm trying to skip around, so, because I want you to read the book, but also to give you an outlook of how he talks about things. He wrote, a poem about rainbow seeds in school. He does a lot of writing, and he was part of, they did a weather weekly announcements, and he took on a character and did the announcements for him, which it sounded very interesting and fun. He always made everything fun and imaginative. So I'll read you the poem. He has a couple poems in here. So this one's called The Rainbow Seed. On a faraway farm there lived a little boy named Ted. Friends called him Teddy for his nickname. He lived in an old broken home with his mom. As you can see, it kind of reflects about his mom and dad and his living situation. But he doesn't always come out and say it fully. If you read his poems and stuff, you can see it in there. Susie in the middle of nowhere. They could see any flowers surrounding them, nothing but dry land and a roadway to the store. Then one day Teddy decided to walk around the mountains with his friends when he met an old man. "Hello, young boy," said the man. "I am Old Man Harry. I want to do something good for you and your mom." Then Harry brought forth a beautiful bright-colored seed that changed color over time. "What is it?" asked the boy. "It's a rainbow seed. I want you to plant it," replied the jolly old man. The boy Teddy had never planted a seed before, so Harry took him down to the mountains and showed him how to plant a seed. "You see, young fellow, you place the seed in the ground, you water it once in a while, make sure the sun shines down on the seed, and let it grow over time." So Old Man Harry gave Ted the rainbow seed and left with a warning, saying, "Remember, boy, this seed is a gift. You will be up for a big surprise," and off he went in the distance. Teddy rushed home to tell his mom about what had happened, and she got excited about the seed. They both went outside right at the back side of the house and planted the colorful seed. Then all of a sudden the seed grew a huge rainbow and stretched far over the fields. It was a hot and sunny day, so the sun melted the rainbow slowly. With the rainbow melted, the droplets of the rain turned into little seeds and went straight to the ground. With that, the seeds quickly turned into rainbow flowers. They had different colors of flowers everywhere, all over the fields. Teddy and his mom, Susie, were so happy to see all that happening to their fields. They began to smell the scents of the flowers all over. People over got to see the flowers, and everything was just amazing for the boy and his mom. All thanks to a little seed that helped to be planted. It says, and he talks about it takes just one seed to become something beautiful. That beauty spreads, and it goes throughout a large area. I love how he's always trying to be so positive, and his story reflect that about how, just rainbow, a little bit of beauty, and you'll see it everywhere and get to share it with the people you love. So I really love his stories and how it's positive, and it does fit in part of his life. Like I said, he has different poems and stuff he writes through here. He loved writing, and he talks about wanting to be an actor or a writer. So, of course, he ended up being a writer. On page 109 is more about how his view of love, and how he said that he thought, he really liked this girl when he was younger, but he stopped hanging out with her and everything because he was afraid to hurt her like he saw his parents go through. So it did affect him some about how he viewed, love going to eventually hurt you. But he does at the same time talk about how he eventually wants to get married and have a family. So it's kind of like he's worried about if he's going to hurt somebody, but also still holding out hope of having a family. So I really like that it shows how they do see and feel, their environments more than we think. We could be like, oh, they're just playing, or like they didn't see that, we were arguing or whatever, but they actually do hear and feel more than we think. So, and it, like most kids, you think they're not paying attention, but they really are. Later on, they'll say something or do something, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they, remember that. That was so long ago, and you think it shouldn't have impacted them so much, and you find out, by that comment that it did. So, not only because he's autistic, but for all kids, it makes you stop and think about the things you say and do and how they impacts them. So, and he also talks about everybody does something with a purpose or a reason. There is no such thing as nothing. The world, nothing is something. It doesn't have to be anything, but it is something. So he doesn't believe that there isn't a purpose for things. There's a purpose for everything. There's a purpose for every person. As you read his book, he really is positive. He has very positive outlook. The rainbow, believing everything is something. There's no such thing as nothing. Even the word nothing, is used for something. So I just love his positive attitude, even when he talks about, some of the hardships and stuff that he went through. So it is a very positive book, very positive outlook. Just love the view and everything that he goes through, and how he handles the negativity, and how vibrant and expressive he sees things and thinks things, and how he views people around him. So it is a very good read. I really recommend it for anybody, regardless if you have somebody that's dealing with autism or not. So just, you can understand the world and how they view people and what they go through, and also what it seems like child goes through, because he also compares himself to the other kids and what they go through, and how he's also the same but different. He always throws in little things about how people see him differently, but how he's the same. So yeah, just trying to think. Yeah, he talks about different groups of kids, but where he fits in the groups, and where he sometimes doesn't want to fit in a group. He wants to be his own person. But he's also part of the high school group, of kids, because he's a high schooler, or, middle schooler and stuff like that. So, and how he fits into the big picture. And he writes a thing in here to high school students about how the importance they are to the group of, high schoolers, and how they influence what the younger generation is going to do, and tells them, let's be positivity and go out into the world. So yeah, it's a very good read. So I'm almost finished with it. I'll do another video, probably a little bit quicker, because this was just 200 pages of it, so I wanted to do a review of it. I don't know if he wrote another book or not. I will look into it. But he's a good writer. Like how he writes. And he didn't want anybody changing his book. He said he wanted it written just as he writes it. He wants his exact views, and if it didn't flow, or they didn't think it flowed as that should, or anything, or they thought anything needed fixed, he didn't want it fixed. He wanted his words and expressions written down just as he wanted it. So I like that. But he is a really good writer, and you can follow along just fine, and it's a great world to get immersed in his feelings and views. So yes, I highly recommend it. And if you have any other books that are written by autistic person, let me know below, and I will also get it and read up on it. And thank you for bearing with me through this first book thing. I'll hopefully get better as I do more of these. And I will have a review coming soon of the other one that I'm reading, the I Wish My Boyfriend Was a Croissant. I think that's what it's called. But yeah, I'm going to try to do a live with that, maybe more interaction as reading through it. So we'll see. But that's it for this one. And I hope everybody has a good day. If you have any recommendations or what I need to do, and sorry about all the I'm working on that with anxiety and trying to think at the same time. You know, we learn different. So yeah, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this book. I hope you pick it up and visit, I think there's a Facebook group, and look him up and find out more about him. Thanks. Take out Carol.